Hi guys, this is Cece here from Cece Sharing Space. In this space, we share views and information on self-development and relationship building. Please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification button and to receive notifications for the new videos. And also, don't forget to click on the like button. Enjoy, thank you.
Hi, once again, thank you for tuning into my video. I'd like to speak about a topic which is not very positive to talk about, but we need to talk about these things anyway. When a relationship is ending, what do we do? Do we just continue in that relationship even if it's not a positive relationship anymore? We're not gaining much from the relationship because the relationships do have an ending, unfortunately, because not every relationship ends up to a marriage or a long-term kind of commitment. So relationships are always exciting at the beginning, right? But with that whole attraction and that excitement of meeting somebody new. However, due to people relationships that are not compatible, people are not compatible within that relationship. The relationship just ends up becoming stale and dull, and the two people end up fighting all the time, and there's no joy. It doesn't bring any peace or joy to both the people in the relationship. So how do we decide that it's time to quit, to call it quit, and to move on? How do we do that? Just like anything else, just like the beginning when you deciding on a relationship and deciding on being with somebody in a relationship romantically, there is a certain sequence to ending in the relationship. In most cases, people will stick in the relationship for a very long time and keep on trying to work it out, and people use things to prevent them from paying attention to the problem. Like, for example, they'll ignore it, they'll use techniques like having, every time they argue, they have make up sex, but they don't really face the problem. They don't face the problem that's actually causing them to be uncompatible, causing them to be having conflicts in the relationship, and they lack communication. Like all things in life, you need communication. And relationships is about two people getting together. And when these two people get together, the key and foundation of the relationship is communication. Communication, which is two-way communication, open, honest communication. Now, there's certain things that people will avoid in relationships because they find it too painful, and they find that the person's going to be offended or made up to be upset. Now, the problem is people are always trying to avoid to hurt other people's feelings, and they're always trying to put themselves in there, sacrificing their own needs and their own conditions. I made a video previously about conditions in relationships and unconditional love. However, to the conclusion that I came to is that there's no such thing as unconditional love. If you think about it, because every relationship has a condition, because people inside the relationship have conditions that make them happy within their relationships. Their needs need to be met in that relationship, so that makes it a condition. So then when you're ending a relationship, obviously that your conditions haven't been met, you are not happy in the relationship anymore, you now find that you cannot stand this person's habits and the person's activities, whatever they do within the relationship, you're now tired, you're now moving forward. So how do you do that? How do you end a relationship where you are emotionally invested? Because yes, we get invested in relationships, we get emotionally invested, and sometimes financially invested, because the person's taking care of us financially, and maybe even physically invested. Maybe the person is taking care of you physically. Like, for example, if you're in a relationship and you happen to be a physically disabled person, and the person that's with you in a long-term relationship has been taking care of you, has not only been your partner, it also been your helper, right? So then you're so invested in the relationship, but there's nothing really that's making you all happy anymore in the relationship. You can't even communicate. You'll try and avoid each other. You're always arguing. You're always unhappy and pulled up in the relationship. And the person's avoiding you by making excuses. He's not coming to see you in, and he's making all sorts of excuses. So how do you face it? Okay, like everything else in life, you need to handle situations with maturity. You need to be mature in the way you approach relationships, because at the end of the day, that person that your partner in that relationship is just a person like you, and they have emotions and feelings. So you need to now take in consideration their feelings and emotions. So, like everything else, it needs communication, two-way communication. You need to be honest to that person, but don't insult the person, and don't blame the person for everything, because everybody has a role they play in the relationship that made things go bad in the relationship, right? So it's all about putting your interests first, obviously, and also considering the other person's feelings and interests as well. To be kind to that person and be kind to yourself. Listen to the other person's feelings honestly. Let them have an opportunity to voice their opinions and their feelings about the relationship and what's really going on, and if it is a good idea that's going to benefit both you two, if you break up and go your own separate ways. It gets more complicated if it's a complicated situation whereby you'll are married, or you'll have children in the relationship. It gets more complicated because now you need to consider those children and how they're going to be affected in y'all's breakup. You need to consider all these things, because after all, those children are depending on a united, happy relationship between you and your partner. In most cases now, there's a lot of marriages, or a lot of relationships, sorry, whereby there's children involved, but they're not married. They are committed emotionally, and they've got children, and they're probably living under the same roof, and also sharing finances. So how do you end that type of relationship? So due to the difficulty of ending such a committed relationship, people normally stay in the relationship, and then they are miserable, living unhappy lives, not able to do all that they really want to do, because they're afraid of hurting the children, they're afraid of ending the relationship, they're afraid of putting the children under that stress of a divorce or a breakup. So the best thing to do again is to involve a professional counselor, a marriage counselor, that'll come and talk to you guys both, and then also have counseling for the children as well, to get them to understand what's really going on. Because I suppose that children wouldn't really want to be in a family where their mother and father always quarreling, or always fighting and arguing over things like money matters or any other thing, because they're not finding a joy in themselves anymore. You see, so it's okay for a breakup to occur. And in most cases, people try and avoid these breakups because of the consequences of breaking up with the partner, because they're already financially committed, emotionally committed, and there's children involved. So, how do we do that? We've got to be very careful, because children need to be considered as well. Children need to be considered because of the fact that they are affected in the relationship when we break up. So then you will now call in professionals to come and help, counselors, marriage counselors, to come and talk to the couple, to help them unpack their issues and find out if they can continue the relationship and get solutions to the problem, or they can just split up and go their own separate ways. Life is all about experiences. So we need to understand that everything is just an experience, and everything has a learning curve. So with life, just like in relationships, we need to be very careful and conscious of the next person's feelings. In most cases, when people are ending a relationship, they're normally very upset and angry, and then they start fighting, and there's conflict in the breakup now. They're fighting over properties and money, and who's going to be taking the children, who's going to be responsible of the children. They don't come together and talk nicely together and talk constructively to come up with a good solution to their problems. So, for example, if there's no children involved, it's straightforward, because there's just two of y'all now. However, there is still emotional attachments, and there's financial attachments as well, especially if you're living together. So then again, it gets more complicated, but you need to sit down And maybe then also involve a counselor, professional counselor that's trained in counseling marriages and stuff and relationships, and help that person unpack your issues so you can come up with a good solution. So if you find that now you're going your own separate ways, both of you all need to be happy with the decisions you're gonna make. Breaking up in a relationship is just the ending of something that did bring y'all some happiness before, but now it's ending. So you don't have to become enemies now. You don't have to be fighting. You don't have to be now hating each other. It's all about people sitting together and deciding, okay, well, now it's not working. And we've tried, and now it's time to move on. It's time to end this and move on. It can be very painful ending a relationship. It's like a death. In most cases, they say they equate it to a death because of the fact that you're now splitting up with that person. So that role that person played in your life is now ending. That's why most people don't like to end relationships and stay in unhappy, unhealthy, toxic relationships because they're scared of the pain that comes afterwards. They're scared of not being with that person. However, as people, we need to mature into who we are, and we need to understand that we cannot depend on somebody else emotionally. We need to also fend for ourselves. So yeah, I will end my video right here. Thank you so much. I hope it is helpful to people regards to how to end a relationship and what really happens. But everything is a choice. So before you make this choice to end your relationship, you need to first think very clearly and objectively, and also speak to your partner. Thank you.